Rocco Limatone.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I do want to acknowledge that one of our board members had a death in his family, so that's why he's not here. So, but we have a quorum, so we are all set. We have our next two meetings are going to be Tuesday, April 23rd and Tuesday, May 28th. So it's the Tuesday after Memorial Day weekend. Hopefully I'll be back from my daughter's wedding by then. She's getting married Memorial Day weekend, so.
Congrats.
Yeah, so we do have one set of minutes to approve if the board members have had an opportunity to review them. I
Yeah, I
didn't
have.
find any amendments.
Yeah, I reviewed them and I didn't find any issues, so I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
But Julie, thank you. You do a great job with our minutes, so.
And your proofreader also.
We appreciate that. All right, so folks, the way the meeting will run, actually tonight we only have public hearings. We don't even have reviews. So we do have public hearings. We have 4 of them on our agenda this evening. These are applications that the board has already had an opportunity to review. The neighbors were noticed on them at this point now, so now it's an opportunity for your neighbors to comment on your requests. So let me get right into things. Let's start with item number 1, Appeal 4075, Christina Thompson and Gurz Lopez, 39 Elk Road, Hopewell Junction, requesting a 5-foot sideline and 10-foot rear line variance for a proposed 300-square-foot deck pursuant to the Schedule of Bulk Regulations of the zoning ordinance. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So good evening.
Good evening.
You have a home in Worley Homes, which is just an area, because you've got public utilities, you actually have smaller lots than most of the other homes in town. So pretty much anything you want to do in your yard is going to require a variance, just because of the nature of that community over there. And so what you're looking to do is, from what we discussed last month, you have kind of a weird, like an L-shaped house, and you want to build a deck into that L shape, okay? And so again, because pretty much anything you would do would need a variance. You told us it's only going to be 1 to 2 feet off the ground. It's only 300 square feet, so it's not a large deck. You have screening on both sides, so there is some screening between you and your neighbor. And your deck is actually only going out 12 feet. So again, it's not a large deck. So is there anything else you want to add that we discussed?
No, that was it.
So any comments or questions from board members?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Is there anyone here who wishes to speak for or against the request from Christina Thompson, 39 Elk Road, Hopewell Junction, requesting a 5-foot sideline and 10-foot rear line variance for a proposed 300-square-foot deck? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. This is appeal number 4075. Applicant is Christina Thompson and Gurz Lopez, requesting a 5-foot sideline variance and a 10-foot rear line variance from this requirement of section 194-94 of the town code and the schedule of bulk regulations for a proposed 300 square foot deck, the variances. A resolution offered by zoning board member Aziz Hassan, whereas the applicant seeks to install a deck into the nook of their house, and whereas the property is constrained by its size, so any deck added would require a variance, and whereas the deck will be located only a few feet above the ground, mitigating any potential visual impacts, and whereas this is a type 2 action under SECRA and no further environmental review is required, and whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on March 20th, 2024, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on March 26th, 2024, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals finds that the granting of the variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or the character of the community, as the property will remain residential in nature. The desired result cannot be achieved by any other means due to the size of the property. The variances are not substantial. The variances will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby approves the request of Christina Thompson and Gorez Lopez for a 5-foot sideline variance and a 10-foot rear line variance from the requirements of Section 194-94 of the Town Code and the Schedule of Bulk Regulations for a proposed 300 square foot deck. Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or other duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
Your second?
Second.
Votes as follows: Aziz.
Aye.
Rocco.
Aye.
Albert.
Aye.
And myself, aye. Your motion carries, you're all set. Now you'll just deal with the building department to get your permit, okay? You're welcome, have a good evening.
Bye-bye. You can only go back.
No. All right, item number 2, Appeal 4093, Michael O'Halloran, 19 Birch Drive, Hopewell Junction, requesting a 12-foot rear line variance for a proposed 12-foot by 20-foot or 240 square foot deck pursuant to the schedule of bulk regulations of the zoning ordinance. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So this is the third time, not you, but the applicant, Michael O'Halloran, has been before our board. First, because of the size of his lot and the buildability of this lot, okay? Second, at which time we were very clear with him about the buildable area.
Right.
Okay, like literally drew a box on there and said, your house has to be so wide, you can't exceed that. And then he came back because he wanted a front porch.
Front porch.
And I think it was something about the garage exceeded the front of,
Right.
So you came back and we gave into that because obviously it makes the aesthetics of the house look better. And now you're back again because the modular has now actually been delivered and there's a 6-foot sliding glass door in the back that is now 9 feet off the ground.
Correct.
Which you were not expecting.
Right.
Even though we find that a little hard to believe because there's clearly there's a lower level, so, but it is what it is. And looking at it and having the building inspector go out and take a look at it, it's clear that you could fix it by bringing in a whole heck of a lot of earth
Right.
and building a retaining wall and, probably even a scaled retaining wall to do that. But that's honestly,
It'll look ugly.
this is why it's not the best way to correct that. To your credit, you did bring photographs to show us that the neighbor's house has a deck that extends equally as far. And also to your credit, your neighbor behind you is a commercial business, so you're not really impacting another residential neighborhood because of this. But I really have to ask, are you going to be back again?
I'm not. Once we get the CR, I'm not coming back for this house.
Anything he wants to do on this property,
I mean, I'm sure he wants to do a shed eventually, but that's between you guys.
side yard, you know what I mean? He's got only so much of it.
Right in the back,
area.
yeah.
There's a reason some lots have not been built on.
Right.
All right, so the limitations of the lot based on zoning, it is what it is.
Yeah. I won't be.
We tried, I looked at this, and really, you probably even would have needed a variance to bring in the amount of earth that you were going to
Right.
need to build that retaining.
And other permits.
Retaining wall and to build the berm or whatever it was that you were going to get enough earth in there to
Right.
make that, to reach that 9 foot. And then if it settled at all, it was just going to be
Disaster.
a maintenance nightmare, honestly.
Yeah.
It wasn't, and it was not going to look good, so. And I guess the issue is the 12-foot, you're actually just asking for the 12-foot.
12 foot, that's-
The rear, the foundation line is. the
Is 50
end of
feet,
the-
right.
Yeah, it's your buildable, it's the end of your buildable
Right.
area, so.
Yeah, I'm stuck in an envelope there.
Yeah. Comments or questions from board members?
Well, I'm not happy, but I have to go along with the applicants'
Reasoning.
constraints, I guess. So I'm okay at this point.
Makes sense to me. I'm fine.
I'm in agreement.
So is there anyone here who wishes to speak for or against the request from Michael O'Halloran, 19 Birch Drive, Hopewell Junction, requesting a 12-foot rear line variance for a proposed 12-foot by 20-foot or 240 square foot deck? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Appeal number 4093, applicant Michael O'Halloran. Name of the project is a 12-foot, excuse me, a 12-foot rear line variance with the requirements of section 194-94 of the Town Code and Schedule of Bulk Regulations for a proposed 12 by 20 foot, 240 square feet deck. Location is 19 Birch Hopewell Drive, or Hopewell Junction. Tax number 6356-04-562202. The zoning district is R1. Alberto Paratori is reading the resolution. Whereas the applicant previously received variances pursuant to appeal number 4042 for an undersized lot and for 4076 for a front line variance for a proposed dwelling garage and front porch. And whereas the applicant was asked by the ZBA if he needed additional variances, and he stated he did not. And whereas, therefore, the applicant ordered a modular home that did not conform to the applicant's understanding of what was approved by the ZBA, and whereas the applicant's contractor has posited that to make the house comply with the building code, he either has to add a deck or a large retaining wall, and whereas the proposed deck is similar to what other nearby properties have, and the proposed rear line variance would move the deck closer to the abutting commercial property rather than the residential ones, and whereas this is a type 2 action under SACRA and no further review is required, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on March 26, 2024, and whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on March 20th, 2024, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals finds that the granting of the variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood, since the property shall remain residential in nature. While the applicant could build a retaining wall instead of a deck, the deck is preferable for a residential property. The variance is not substantial. The variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions. Now therefore be it resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby approves the request from Michael O'Halloran for a 12-foot rear line variance from the requirements of section 194-94 of the Town Code and Schedule of Bulk Regulations for a proposed 12 by 20, 200 square foot deck. Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the resolution, the chair or other duly member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
Is there a second?
Second.
Votes as follows: Aziz.
Aye.
Rocco.
Aye.
Alberto.
Aye.
Myself, aye.
Thank you. Enjoy your evening.
Who seconded it?
All right, Appeal 4094, Carl Vollmer, 1 Candy Lane, Hopewell Junction, requesting a 14-foot rear line variance for a proposed addition and a 4-foot front line variance for a pre-existing non-conforming front porch pursuant to the schedule of bulk regulations of the zoning ordinance. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Good evening.
Good evening.
So we had an opportunity to go through your application with you last night. I actually did a site visit. I drove by, so I saw your signs were up. So you're the corner lot behind the CVS Plaza there on Candy Lane. So you are looking to add a 2-car garage addition where you would take your existing garage and make it more livable space within the house.
Correct.
Okay, and the existing house, I don't know that we talked about when it was actually built, but
I think it was 58.
yeah, which zoning didn't come into town until 63, so it was built before zoning. So it does not comply, but we're not going to obviously make you move your house. So we're just going to clean it up while we're at it. So, you know, you have screening from your neighbor behind you, the 3 sides. So one side, the CVS side, didn't have a lot. This time of year, it doesn't have a lot of screening. So.
Yeah, well, the offer still stands. You can have those white pines if you want them.
Yeah, white plains are, they grow fast, but they're not, you know, not the best for anyway. Comments or questions from board members?
Yeah, I did the site visit, and it's, I mean, I don't have an issue.
Yeah, it fits within the character of that neighborhood over there, so.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm good with it. I think it's fine.
Yeah, good.
So is there anyone here who wishes to speak for or against the request from Carl Vollmer, 1 Candy Lane, Hopewell Junction, requesting a 14-foot rear line variance for a proposed addition and a 4-foot front line variance for a pre-existing non-conforming front porch?
I think Julie, do you want to speak? No?
All right. Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And resolution.
Appeal number 4094, applicant is Carl Vollmer, requesting a 14-foot rear line variance from the scheduled bulk regulations for a proposed addition and a 4-foot front line variance from section 194-94 of the town code and the scheduled bulk regulations for a pre-existing non-conforming front porch. Location is, I love this, 1 Candy Lane.
Easy.
Hopewell Junction. Zoning district is R1, and the resolution is offered by zoning board member Rocco Limatone. Whereas the applicant proposes an addition on the side of his property abutting a commercial property, and whereas the addition would consist of more livable space and a garage. Whereas this is a significant existing screening which will mitigate any potential visual impacts. And whereas the existing porch was added by a prior owner, and whereas this is a type 2 action under SECRA and no further environmental review is required. And whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on March 20th of '24. And whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on March 26 of 2024, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals finds that the granting of the variances will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the community, as the property will remain residential in nature. The desired result cannot be achieved by some other means due to the layout of the property. The rear line variance could be deemed substantial, but there is significant screening mitigating any potential impacts. The variances will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions. Now therefore be it resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby approves the request by Carl Vollmer for a 14-foot rear line variance from the scheduled bulk regulations for a proposed addition and a 4-foot front line variance from section 194-94 of the town code and the scheduled bulk regulations for a pre-existing non-conforming front porch. Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or other duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
Is there a second?
Second.
Votes as follows: Aziz.
Aye.
Rocco.
Aye.
Alberto.
Aye.
And myself, aye. Your motion carries. Now you just deal with the mobile department.
It'd be nice to put my cars in the garage so my friends can't tell if I'm home.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, anyway. Item number 4, Appeal 4095 and 4096. Why is that two appeal numbers? Okay.
Lots.
Camille Riggio, 228 to 230 Lake Walton Road, Hopewell Junction, Lot A, requesting a 9-foot front yard, 5-foot side yard, and a variance for it being in front yard for an existing garage. I think we could have worded that differently. At Lot B, requesting a 16-foot side yard variance for a pre-existing dwelling and a 6-foot side yard and front yard variance for an existing shed, 2-foot sideline and front yard variance for an existing 6-foot fence, and 35-foot side yard and a front yard variance for an existing garage pursuant to the schedule of bulk regulations of the zoning ordinance. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So good evening. We have a situation here where we actually have 3 lots, 3 non-conforming lots, and what you are proposing to do is to actually make them into 2 still non-conforming, but more conforming to code lots. The houses that are there and the garages, I believe, were all built in the 1950s, so before zoning came into play in town. And so we're now, zoning does not allow garages in the front yard or a shed in the front yard. That's what we have here. I do want to acknowledge that at the last meeting, we did ask the applicants to take care of that, the house, the bottom part of the garage that was showing its age, and it's been done, so I appreciate that. If we could, I hope when spring comes, maybe the rest of it might get painted. Really, a big difference for what the part that you've done with. So I do want to acknowledge that. I drive up Lake Walton regularly, as you can probably tell. We do have an issue that this is the actual lot line realignment is an action of the planning board. So the planning board, I believe at last week's meeting, determined that they wish to be lead agency for the secret review. We don't need to do our own review, so we'll do it as a coordinated review. So they have circulated to us their request to be the lead agency. So I would like a motion from this board to consent to the planning board to be lead agency.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So one item of business done for that, but because the planning board has to do the secret review, we will not be able to close this public hearing tonight because we have to rely on them to actually do the environmental review. And then we'll act based on what they determine. All right, so we're going to have to hold it open.
Understood.
But we will have an opportunity for neighbors to comment. So again, normally we don't see garages and sheds in front yards, but that's what's here. And you're looking to just make the 3 lots into 2 lots, and we're just acknowledging and cleaning up the property lines. Any comments or questions from board members?
I have none. I think you covered it all.
No, I have none.
I have none.
So is there anyone here who wishes to speak for or against the property or the appeals? Camille Riggio, 228, 230 Lake Walton Road, Hopewell Junction. Lot A requesting a 9-foot front yard, 5-foot side yard, and a variance for an existing garage being in the front yard. Lot B requesting a 16-foot side yard variance for a pre-existing dwelling, a 6-foot side yard and front yard variance for an existing shed, a 2-foot sideline and front yard variance for an existing 6-foot fence, and a 35-foot side yard and front yard variance for an existing garage. Anyone wish to speak for or against? Seeing none, do I have a motion? No, we're not
Continue.
closing. I have a
Continue.
motion to adjourn until,
To adjourn and continue in the next
well, hopefully
meeting.
the next meeting. We
Hopefully the next meeting.
have to have
Trying
them.
to continue at some other point in time.
So I make a motion that we continue.
Okay,
I'll second.
Second.
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. We'll be back.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everyone.
Try and do it before 7:30. You're looking at the clock.
All right. Julie, you want me to drive you over there? Oh, okay.
But you have no excuse to not go.
They're watching, somebody's watching you.
How do we get there? Before we start, we have to bring in our own chair and sit in the front row.
And the food
Oh,
will
just
be
sitting in
cold.
a row, you lost me.
The food will be cold. It'll be cold.
Dinner, so if I smell like Frank.
Not on Dibble, but there's the other one on Route 52.
Oh, that was probably the
Contractor's
quickest
yard
that I've
across
noticed.
from
I think we did one in 20 minutes.
I Park.
Oh, really?
It's the folks that came up here from,
Well, we kind of knew that.
their business is in Portland. And they actually went to Michelle, got her out of a meeting and wanted to do this. I can't think of their name. Parika Ron or something. Parik something. They bought the property that used to be Pat Cronin, where they were doing maple syrup. That parcel. So now it's so he's got these flow boys that he says, he's told us.
You make it to that age.
Tom and I,
It's great.
that, yeah, I use them for farming.
To be in good health.
They also are used for asphalt. And we're like, yeah, so how much are you using for asphalt? That was the new owner in Pat. He came in and met with Tom, no attorney, et cetera. But now they've hired Kieran Law.
This is a contractor's yard or some type of storage